That's
All
us.
right, I'm going to hit the. Okay,
Are we
there
on?
it is.
Are
That's
we
us.
live?
There we are.
All
Okay, I hear
right.
it. Not yet. I mean, the thing is up, waiting
All
for
right, hold on a
ServiceNow
second.
Dev Program.
All right. Welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour on YouTube and Twitch. I am Dave Slusher. With me is Chuck Tomasi.
How you doing?
We're doing our absolute best here. There's some hot fix. I don't know what you call it. Real time updating of some config. So welcome back. It's been at least a month. It's been maybe more than a month since we've done this. Developer days and travel and holidays and et cetera, et cetera. So welcome, Chuck. Let's have the longer intro for you, my friend.
Hey, I am a TPMM at ServiceNow. Been here for about 8 years. Customer for a couple of years before that. My focus has been in custom applications and integrations, and I'm having a blast.
And I'm Dave Slusher, developer advocate in the developer program here at ServiceNow. Been with the company, it's going to be 5 years in this fall.
Crazy how fast that goes.
It really seems
and
like
how much
yesterday.
we've done in that short time.
It really seems like yesterday sometimes. It's shocking how long it's been, actually.
We were just having dinner at Eureka Burger for your interview.
Exactly. All right, so a quick recap of kind of what this is all about. This is the first time running through this. On Friday afternoons, we get together, we do some coding. It's actually an extremely fun way to go into the weekend. So what we're going to do this week, Chuck will explain in a little more detail, but we're gonna do some more Flow Designer work. Chuck is gonna work on his IoT lab with Flow Designer. We really are gonna do everything. Like, we have prepped nothing, so we're starting with the whole discussion and the requirements and everything. We're gonna kind of do that live on the air, see how far we can get in the hour. And as always,
I did a little prep. I built some tables.
Okay, yeah. So quite often, like it may sound like laziness, but we actually kind of like try to do the absolute. We want to do all the boring stuff and none of the fun stuff, but we want to minimize the boring stuff and maximize the fun stuff that we do like in the hour. So and as always, we're not guaranteed to get to anything sensible. Feel free in the chat to yell out the answers, type out the answers when you see an obvious thing that we're missing. You are the third plus set of eyes on this our peer review here. And with that, I will watch the chat while Chuck mostly drives this episode. He's in charge. But first, importantly, what are you drinking?
The important part.
Yes.
I have yet again another Barrio Blonde Ale. The cute girl with the tank top on it.
I've got an O'Shea's. I've got a different camera. I got an O'Shea's Irish Stout.
Ooh, that looks good.
I don't remember if I've
hear
done
the sound of
here.
this.
Yeah. I don't remember if I've done this on here or not, but this may be a repeat.
Sound familiar.
Okay, so it is literally the first thing we were trying to get the thing set up. It's the first thing I grabbed in the fridge. So that was the decision.
If the point of this show is to show warts and all,
yes.
You're succeeding, Dave.
All right, so if you want to go ahead and share your screen, we'll transition into that.
Yeah, you bet. You bet.
And then once you start sharing, I'm going to start drinking some O'Shea's Fine Irish Stout.
Share, start. That ought to be it.
All right, and let me cut.
I'm going to turn off my camera, too, so you don't see me glancing off into the memosphere.
Yeah, I will turn mine off as well. And that looks good. All right.
I gotta move your little avatar off of the screen so people still don't see that. Okay, I'm still showing your camera on, but maybe it's off on you. Yes.
Have not made it over there yet. All right, here we go.
Okay. So those of you might remember last fall, I think it was, we did the Amazon IoT dash button to turn on a lamp, and we used like a TP-Link smart switch to do that, and we had the API, and that all worked great. The idea was to take that to CreatorCon and let you guys walk through the process of what it all takes to build that and go behind the scenes. Well, Josh and I we're not using the TP-Link switch. We're actually making our very own IoT, what we're calling a busy box right now. It's got a Wemos D1 Mini based on the ESP8266 processor. It's got a little OLED display in there, some buttons, a temperature, just a little fun kit that's all built on a custom printed circuit board and put in a 3D housing. And we're going to have these for our labs and hopefully some giveaways too. We're working on that. And Josh and I were, he happens to be my session reviewer of all things. He thinks he got away from all this CreatorCon stuff. He actually walked more into it. We were reviewing this and realized there's still a lot of business rules and scripting and REST API stuff going on in there that he said, could you do this with Flow Designer and Integration Hub? Now, one of the features of London, that's our next release that's going to be released after Knowledge, but one of our features of London is that it's going to support, Integration Hub will support REST APIs through a mid server. I don't have London today, so we're going to build as much as we can without checking that checkbox that says, you want to use a mid server? And get the basic logic of what do we need to do to build the actions that drive that? Because I've got one crazy thing in here. If you've ever dealt with Flow Designer, there's a lookup action that says, based on this condition, say active equals true, go look up all the records in sysuser. But if you remember, my Amazon IoT application is a little bit backwards. It has records with conditions in them. For example, if I had an IoT button in the bathroom and I clicked it twice, I would want to carry out this action. So my target is this random user API. All I did is picked a few public APIs that require no authentication out there on the internet. It's going to simulate hitting my IoT device until I can get the mid-server thing going. But all I want to do is find out how many of these records match. Now think about it. It's backwards from how many records match the condition to how many records with conditions match the incoming data. And the incoming data is going to be simply this triggers table that says, hey, someone pressed the button once. And then this lookup table goes, great. What about that? What do you want me to do with it? Do any of these records match? And you can actually see there's a couple in here that do say kitchen, clickable single, kitchen, clickable single, and then I will go call these APIs. The APIs are just going to return a JSON payload. One is hooked up to the Internet Chuck Norris database, one of my favorite REST APIs to hit. Chuck Norris has never been in a fight ever. Do you call one roundhouse kick to the face a fight? And then another one gets a random user record, which I'm considering using for future demos to load up rather than saying John Doe 1, John Doe 2, Kevin Smith. It returns some pretty interesting factoids. Christian Peterson, and there's another one that has countries in it and gives you back wonderfully people's names that would fit that country. So anyway, just some random REST endpoints, one called UI names, random user, and the Chuck Norris quote. Just some endpoints that I can hit. You can see those targets are really just a host. I included the HTTP or HTTPS because I didn't want to get down to constructing the URL from port and protocol and host. Let's make this easier on ourselves. So it's just the host with the base of the URL and then a resource path. Now, extending this out, I could put other resource paths in here, make a related list, and blah, 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 blah. But I want to keep this simple for our exercise. We're not focusing on the data and how we can make this application better. We're focusing on how can we get the flow together to do this, to say which records matched. And that brings up a mental discipline in my mind that I've slowly been catching on to since Flow Designer came out, well, just a couple of months ago, is that I got to start thinking of Flow Designer as the new business rule, not the new workflow. And I think that's where I was getting caught up because I don't use workflows a lot in these specialized applications. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, especially for approvals, yes. But when it comes to business rules, lookups, setting values on records, triggering is the big one that finally the light went on and wow, well, business rules we trigger on CRUD operations. Flow Designer does the same thing. So they're small, specialized. You think of this, usually workflows are big and have 10 to 20 activities on them. And Flow Designer tends to be a little smaller and more succinct. So the benefit to the end user of Flow Designer is obviously the drag and drop. You can enable your citizen developers and let them do that. But the pro developer still has to go behind the scenes and build custom actions. And that's what we want to do today is build out basically 2 custom actions. One for Flow Designer that says, go look up the records that match, where the conditions match. And the other is, now build a REST API around each of the records that match. So it's not going to be a big flow. And it shouldn't be big, shouldn't be the key word, shouldn't be big work to do the actions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I actually didn't screw up actions and activities in that whole monologue. So I usually mess it up once or twice.
Before you move on, that's a really interesting frame to bring to this, which is kind of everything we talk about Flow Designer is kind of in the workflow context, but what you're really saying is you stopped thinking about it as a limited workflow and started thinking about it as a richer business rule. And that's a interesting way to look at it.
That light bulb only went on in the last week or so. I went, oh yeah, okay. Josh is still behind the scenes, and he's been helping me out with these concepts and how to pass information around. Because I went back and reviewed some of the first Flow Designer videos we did in November, December timeframe, and went, oh yeah, you gotta pass variables through the inputs and outputs, and so that was encouraging to know.
I cannot tell you the number of times I have gone back to a video and scrubbed to see exactly what it was we did because I couldn't remember the thing.
Can anyone say OAuth?
It's the persistent database. It's like I actually hope other people do this. You know, like people that aren't us. It's in particular I've done it sometimes to remember what instance we were using, but you know, like just the thing. It's like I don't remember where that parameter is, and I scrub the video forward until I find it. So
yep, and you hope it's on the screen. And we said something intelligent about it. All right. Do you see my studio screen?
Yes, I do. You're good.
All right. At this point, all I've really built is these 4 tables and put some sample records in there. We're going to go and build the rest of the story. So I'm in the right scope. I'm going to build these in that scope just for, I don't know, encapsulation reasons, whatever. Flow Designer is under, of course, the Flow Designer menu. We're going to click Designer. And we're also going to be talking about like some best practices that we're learning as we go. It's sort of like building codes. We don't know all the best practices around Flow Designer actions and building out these things until we do a few of them. And you usually learn best practices from bad mistakes. Fortunately, I haven't made too many bad mistakes yet. Let's create a new action. Now, the first thing I want to do in Flow Designer is just do that record lookup. Find out how many of these match. Now, this I'm going to jump out here for just a second and go to scripts background because I want to give you the kernel of where this came from. This came from, this is the guts of that business rule on the IoT application that said, go through, skip this part. This is just which sysid do I want to get for the lookup records. It's really in this section. Go through all of the lookup records, and the secret sauce is glidefilter.checkRecord. It says, take the record that you got in that new table and look at the condition of the record in the lookup record. Now, if it says kitchen pressed once, then I match. And I just display it out and say, yep, it worked. No, it didn't. So if I test that, it's actually testing subscript 1, which is kitchen double. And I run that in scripts background. Pasty. Hopefully I didn't paste twice. Yeah, I did. Just because latency kills me. Paste. Try that again. Run the script. And it's going to say no match on bathroom double UI name. And here's the condition. By the way, conditions are stored as encoded query strings. Active equals true, up caret, field name. I took a wild guess on this today when I was writing this little test script earlier, and I said, I want it readable. And you know what I used? Get display name, get display value on the condition field. Yeah.
Boy, and that was, I don't know that I would have thought to have tried that.
It was a wild guess. I was originally going to do lookup.condition. I said, no, be a good citizen. Lookup.getValue. And then I went, I want it readable. I don't want a sysid staring me in the face. Oh, that's even better. Get display value. It luckily worked. So that was my stupid dog trick of the day.
So that means that somewhere one of our developers actually built the like that shim code, right? That takes the condition and then parses that into human readable form. So somewhere along the line, somebody said, "Hey, let's just do that," because I could easily see that doing.
It already existed. It already existed. If you use the attribute on that field, readable equals true, then you get it in a list format like this, which I always do on my conditions. In fact, I just told the workflow team, the classic workflow people, you probably want to use this. And I've told a couple of teams that don't have this. I said, when you see it in a list, it's a lot easier to read this way. So it's just one of those condition field attributes that I almost always use is readable equals true. Sometimes I use no underscore truncate equals true. Kudos to Mila Jordan for passing that one on to me, who happens to be Don Goodliff's daughter, just if you want a little bit of ServiceNow history in there. And sometimes show condition count if you want to see it if you want to see your condition field in your record and it has that little 32 records match or something like that up here. So there's a few attributes you want to look at on the condition field that are very helpful to make it easier to manage. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled flow designer. Let's call this, we're calling this an action LCHH record lookup. This is what's going to appear in the action picker, and it will be under an LCHH menu option in there rather than saying Slack or Microsoft Teams or whatever. We've covered all this before, so I'm going to go through it pretty quickly. Now we get into the inputs. This is where as a developer, I want to make something as easy and flexible as possible. But as a user, and there's many more of them than there are of us kids, as the user of this action, I want to make it easy on them. Fill in 1 or 2 parameters. If I give them something like, fill out the encoded query string so you can filter on all these records and make it really flexible, they're going to go, what the hell is an encoded query string? So I am going to start with the simplest of simple and just pass in the trigger record. In fact, we'll call it trigger GR. You and Josh got me on the whole GR suffix thing, and say it's a record. I thought you could do a single record.
You don't want it to be a reference?
Reference should work. Reference should work. And I will point that to my trigger record. And that's it. That's really the only input I really, really need is, hey, what record came in here? Because I'm going to analyze the jingles out of this thing. Now, here's where I put in a new step. And I've got all of these different step types to look at. At first I said, let me go do a lookup records, but that's the one that says how many records in the table match this particular prescribed condition. I'm doing the reverse, but I think I'm going to need that in just a little bit. What I think I'm going to start with is a script to do that glide filter part. First we need to get my hands. No, we don't really need to. I mean, we could do something like trigger GR equals inputs dot
dereference that
trigger
to something
GR.
prettier.
Yeah, I mean, you could if you don't feel like writing inputs.triggergr all the time.
I'm actually fine with that because
okay.
I don't like to reference, like when you have a thing like that, I don't like to reference that inputs over and over again. I like to do it one time, just like this.
Yeah, good point. I do that in my scripted REST APIs with request.body.data or whatever it is. Yeah, that kind of thing. So that kind of makes sense here. Be consistent, people. Let's, just for sake of sanity, let's see, HH, lookup, record lookup. Let me glance up in the corner to see what I call this thing. Is that big enough? Can you read that?
I can read it. Actually, maybe one bigger might make it if I'm looking at the studio view on YouTube, it might be one bigger.
Record lookup. I'm going to put a debug statement in here just to say, hey, I got in this function. Here's the good news, everybody. Trigger gr.get display value. Oh, by the way, it's not doing it here. I saw a code completion. I don't remember if I was fooling around with a very early London release or what was going on, but it did code completion. And as soon as I started saying trigger gr.get this, it would say, oh, you want get display value, but it didn't put in the parentheses. I went, wait a minute, we do it on business rules and script includes and UI actions. Did we miss something here? So I passed that on to Josh as well. The nice thing is we have an inside friend who can work on that.
We have a friend in the diamond business.
Next, we want to do, let me take a look at this thing. We're going to do this part where we go through each of, stop that. Gee whiz, that was irritating. I want this part where I just go and find all the records that match. So I got to do a glide record lookup on my, wow, that is really touchy. It wants to like select it and move everything. I'm going to get my trigger table. No, I'm sorry. That was my dummy record. That was kind of an effective current that lookup. Want this part from lines 14 on. In fact, why don't I just copy that since I had it selected?
And just to reiterate, the whole reason that you're doing that is because you've got that inside-out thing where you're looking for the condition inside the record, which is kind of backwards of typically how you would do something.
I'm going to move my data pill picker over just so I have a little more scripty room. So lookup is on the, why am I not able to scroll to the top of this crazy thing? There. I think I may be dealing with an old version of Chrome or something that's just having fits today. The other thing that would have been nice that I don't know. This is hard coded to me, and that kind of bothers me. Do we pass that in as a parameter to say, oh, you want to look up records, match this against that? We could possibly put this in as an input parameter. Thoughts?
You could, but if you are building this action in the same scope as that table, right? So
correct.
Kind of by definition, they're sort of hooked together. So
okay.
I don't have a problem with that. Now, if the idea was that you were going to do something kind of independent of that scope, you know,
like call it a glide filter.
Yeah. If you're going to do something that generically did that, but since you are literally only acting on the things inside this scope that are with it, it all kind of makes sense to bundle them together.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. So this is trigger GR. I should make sure that don't suffer copy and paste paralysis. Make that one trigger GR. And then lookup display, lookup display. Theoretically, we've got something workable here. Right? We're doing the same thing. Go through all the lookup records. For each record you find, do the glide filter match, and just spew out whether or not it's going to work. What do you say? Give it a try?
Yes. I was going to say, do we want to, if we test, do we want to, well, you're going to do this from the GS info. That's what you're going to look at.
Yeah, I'm going to go look in the system logs in a second. So we need to then build a flow with that action on it.
Not at all necessary. It would just be a stylistic thing. No, I'm saying, but you could just add the output of the sysid of the record you found, and then from the flow, you'd actually be able to see it from right there. It would be the output of the action, like as you looked at that. But it will work.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let's create a new flow and call it CHH rest test. This is the worst part, figuring out names. That's why I like that sample user API. And I think I need to show draft actions because I haven't published that yet.
Correct. That's the step I miss sometimes because publishing that before you want to actually is problematic. So better to not publish and then.
It's analogous to the workflow thing where, hey, I made it. It's not checked in, but I'm going to test it. So this is where the whole business rule thing kind of crept into my head. I went, look, these look just like the checkboxes on the business rule. Now, granted, they could also do a wonderful job at replacing scheduled jobs. So anytime a trigger record is launched, really, that's about it. We are going to action. Oh, we need an icon.
I'm actually not sure how you put an icon in there. I'm not sure where they.
I don't either.
It's got to be something to do with the scope. I'm not sure how you said that, but I know.
Oh, hey, you might be onto something. Hold on here a sec. Mapp. Go to System Apps. Come on. Type. I typed. That's annoying. I'm not sure if that's browser bandwidth because we're videoing or what. Okay, applications. As I do on the community live stream. Slow browser, take a drink. I think it might be in here, Dave. See how that had that generic little icon? All right, we're a little off script here.
I'm fine to do that. Let's do this. You don't
Let's
have
go
the
to a
thumbnail,
logo.
right?
I have no idea what kind of image I want, but here we'll make one real fast.
Let me see if I think I might be able to
a
get you
beer?
a thing. Yeah, sure. If you have one handy, it can be anything. I was going to say I might be able to get you
have one handy.
LCHH
Images.
thumbnail if I can find it.
Beer. It's probably an unlicensed beer icon. There we go. Oh, that one's got the hash marks through it. We don't want that one. This will work. 200 by 200. Let's save that to the desktop. Oh, it's even transparent. I like it even better. Save image as. I want to see a beer in the.
I'm so completely fine with this digression.
I want to see a beer in the menu. Okay, then back to the app. Choose file from the desktop. Not toolbox. Come on, beer. Hopefully PNGs are good. Yep, PNGs are good. And we should have an icon on the app. And we should have an icon on this thing now, too, when we go to System Applications. Yay.
I think that's going to do it.
It's probably not on there yet.
Wait, no, you're going to have to reload. You probably have to reload.
Okay.
Why don't you save it?
Let's save this real quick. we don't want to waste 10 seconds redoing the trigger. All right. Action. Drum roll. Oh, I think not there yet.
I think you're going to have to reload. Just reload the whole page. Reload the whole.
It's so mean.
Honestly, I think it's there. All right.
Hopefully we don't have to do cache.do or log out or something significant.
If we don't see it here, we'll admit defeat. Yes, that's what I thought. All right.
That was worth it.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's just for us.
All right. Now this is a terrible label, trigger GR trigger. Would you agree?
Yes.
Which means the first thing we need to change is in our inputs. We need a better input variable name. So let's go there before I forget. Otherwise, it's going to plague us all day. And just call it record. I'm okay with it appearing as record because it says record on this particular trigger table. Okay, so let's save that. Back to the flow. We haven't even tried this darn flow yet. And we want the trigger record. All right, just draggy, droppy, plunky. Good.
Okay.
Done. Save. Test. Test it on what record? Golly, I can't remember which one because I don't have a display value on them. I probably should have put the display value as the condition. But I'm going with the first one. The oldest one because that's probably kitchen single. We test it. We see the results. And, oh, some error. The undefined value has no properties. Detail. The undefined value has no properties. That's not very helpful. Look at the logs. Warning, warning, warning. New glide record called with invalid table name. I thought I built these tables on this instance. Let's go to programmer's best friend. We wanted the trigger table, right? 1978 77 LCHH trigger. Sounds like some sort of an award.
You might be. Let's go back.
Let's go back to our action.
Well, no,
script.
That was working. You copied and pasted. The thing was working. How could that not be?
Yeah, that's what's baffling me. Lookup is new lookup.
Scroll down a little bit.
Oh. LCHH lookup. Oh. I don't want the trigger record. Yeah, I do want the trigger record. This is the trigger GR. This is the lookup table. I almost copy and pasted the wrong table name. Scroll down a bit. Okay.
But so the trigger GR is passed from the input.
Yep. Is that what the problem is?
Are we not passing what we think we're passing?
What was in the log? Is there anything useful in here?
So
Flow designer operation, the undefined value has no properties. I'm thinking inputs is wrong. Glide record, new glide record, called with invalid table name. That bothers me. Wait, what's this? Yeah, it's our trigger GR that's got us all in a tither here. All right, inputs dot trigger GR.
Oh, hey, so we changed the name. So you changed the name.
Yeah, and then I displayed
the.
All right, let's go against the grain here.
Sorry.
Let's just try it this way. Oops, inputs dot. Maybe.
So let's go back to your input. Click your input for 1 second.
Oh. Oh, we did change the name, but wait.
Change the name, but the value of it. You're not. So the input is a record from that. The name.
This is a record, not a reference. That's why I was kind of looking for record here, because I knew that would come up as record. Oh, wait a minute. Value variable. Don't we want the input to be...
We want it to be...
No, this is what we're going to prompt the user for.
Yeah, we want it to be... Basically, we want to pass the sysID of the record, right? What do we pass to sysID?
I'd rather have the whole thing so we don't have to do another glide record lookup on that sysID, because otherwise you're just passing a sysID to go get it again.
But the name is record. So isn't that what we're going to dereference? Because trigger GR doesn't exist anywhere.
Trigger GR doesn't exist anymore. Or we're just calling it... Oh, you're right. We did change the name. So it's going to be like that. You think?
I think something. So if you just change... You don't have to change anything else. Just change... Because you're assigning it to trigger GR, right? So...
All right. Then let's go back to short form here. The chat room screaming at us for anything?
No, they're not. Come on.
Oh,
they
holy
should be.
crap. Get display value. Oh, get display value works on condition fields. I just made somebody's day. If you like that one, I'll show you the one I learned at the Phoenix developer meetup last night. Save you all more 2 clicks every day.
Yeah, let's...
Okay, well...
Let's give that a... I think that...
All right.
I think what we were doing, the trigger GR from inputs did not... I mean, it didn't exist right after you renamed it.
Run test. Click flow. Kaboom. Died again.
In the same spot?
Evaluator. The undefined variable has no properties. Did we save this? I mean, did we save... I'm sorry. Did we save this? We did save.
You saved the action before we tested again?
We saved the... Oh, we didn't save the action. Oops. I'm sure that's going to come back to bite us again. Okay, now did that refresh itself? I saw something go a little blinky. Let's test. Oldest record first. Run test. Let's make sure that our script did something. It's still dying.
On the same
inputs.record. Trigger GR. I'm going with long form. Hold on. I'm going with the long form on this thing. Give me back.
Here's one thing that I'm not 100% sure.
Yes.
Why don't you put a debugger breakpoint on line 3?
Can you do that on Flow Designer?
I don't know. Let's try clicking it and see what happens.
Nope.
Oh, it doesn't work.
Nope.
Oh, no.
Fail. I'm disappointed.
Oh, bummer.
Let's try that. That's why we put in debug statements, kids.
I don't think that can be the fix, because if that works, If that thing there works, then I think the assigning it to trigger GR would work. I think they're.
I think
the
so
value.
too.
I think the value in trigger GR can't. It's got to be.
Nope. Nope.
As was pointed out in out of band, Flow Designer is async, so it can't be. You can't do it because it's asynchronous. So
sure.
That's why there's no script debugger, which makes sense.
Makes sense.
However,
why can't we get past line 3?
If we were calling a script include, we probably could, right? I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's. I don't know. That's a testable hypothesis. We won't test right now.
See if I have any notes that make any more sense. We haven't even got to the rest part. We're not even out of the starting gate. We're grappling with the inputs and outputs. The inputs.
Well, let me pull up a.
Was just called record, right? Record was a reference to a trigger record. Create input. Oh. Duh.
Oh, we didn't.
We didn't tell it what to use. We have an input to the action, but we don't have an input to the step.
Wire those two things together. Okay. That now makes perfect sense.
Now we could call this trigger GR.
Yes. Okay. That makes so your ugly one goes inside there. Your semantically meaningful one goes on the input itself.
Right. That's where the whole nomenclature thing is. Think of this input as just a label to the user, and it's going to set up an input variable. Then when you get to the script step, you got to tie it together and say, all right, what does this step need for inputs and outputs? So one is it's almost like transform scripts where you have an on start and an on complete, but you also have an on before and an on after. So one is like a micro version of the other or a macro version of the other.
Well, this is what you're seeing now is that this is not like Flow Designer is like early enough in his life that is not a thing we do every day. So this is the kind of thing that is natural once you do it every day, but we don't do that yet.
So kids, you just learned a valuable lesson from us. We hope you don't make that mistake as well. Let's go back to the test. It refreshed. I hope it refreshed. So I'm verified. That's an assumption we're making. And we click and we test and oh, come on, get display value in object.
That's a better error. That's because that's a different error.
Trigger GR equals inputs.triggerGR. Trigger gr.getDisplayValue. It doesn't like cannot find function get display value in object. Isn't it supposed to be a glide record object?
That's also
Can you copy those things around like that?
I don't know.
I'm
so
still
you're
thinking
trying to avoid the lookup. I'm not so sure that it is passing it as that it can pass it as a constituted glide record. I don't know that for a fact.
I'm going with instinct. I'm going with instinct number 1. Let's just spell it out. We're brute forcing our way through this thing. Test this, run, click. Someone's at the door, and we failed again. Let's look at the test results. Do we look at the test results? We look at the test results. Logs.
Yeah, still get display.
This bothers me from an error message standpoint. That new glide record is smashed together. Did I spell it wrong? Get display value. No. Maybe it's not a real thing. Well, just go with the sys_ID then.
Yeah, see, that's that weird chain of errors because you get that one error prior to the use of the get display value, makes it look like it's just not knowing what to do.
Save. Close that test. Test it again. Oops, that's the action. Test it again.
I think
take a record.
You might see the same error here. I think what we might have to do is change the input to pass, explicitly pass that sys_ID. Can I convert to?
I don't want to pass a sys_ID.
Let's see if we.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back to the I like when that dialogue is up. Oh, I know who's at the door. Trigger GR is this. It's the action record.
Mm-hmm.
This input is a reference to the record. You can't pick a type of record here. You can say records. Maybe we do records of one. I don't know if that makes it an array or what happens after that.
Yeah.
Or does it change the input type? Ooh, that might change the input type. Hold on. Let's see how it renders this on the action. Action, record, trigger record. Huh?
So that's the record. Yeah, that's the record you want from the pill picker.
I can't pill picker it. Let's do the pill picker.
Expand the record. Can you do it from?
Okay, well that was more interesting. Let's do that. Just save because I don't know where we're going yet. Did we save this? Just save that.
Just save that.
Save that. Test that. Right here. And
it's taking.
It's thinking harder.
It's taking much longer. That's a good sign.
Either that or we just had a bad internet delay. Completed.
Well, there you go. That was it.
Dude. Okay. You change it to a records and we're okay. Let's see the system logs. Did I put system logs in my favorite? I usually do. Yay. Thank you, previous self. I would have sworn passing it as a glide record would have been a good day. Okay. Match, yes. Kitchen single, Chuck Norris. Match, no. Bathroom single. Match, no. Kitchen double. Match, yes. Kitchen single. I think we're off to a good start. Okay. We got 15 minutes left.
That's okay. So that's actually, I mean, that's good. That's a good
debugging.
That's a good toe to stub, right? Because this will happen.
Yep. This will happen. So once we've got the records matching, let me put this pill picker away for a sec so I can see a little bit more. Once we get the records matching, I can still make use of this lookup records activity. And I'm going to look up records from the lookup table. I don't need conditions. Oh, wait a minute.
You need to
pass. Yes, I do.
Yeah, you need
to, okay, here's where it's going to get fun. Because what do we need to pass? Let's build an array.
No, wait. You've got the match, right? So you know the value of lookup when you matched right down there.
But there could be more than one matching though. We saw there were 2 matches on that, so I need an array.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
Match list equals. I hit the shift key. Come on, twice now. 3 times if you include that one. Let's push that. Wow, what the heck is wrong with my indentation today? Never mind. I got other things to worry about. Match list.push, lookup, get value, sysid. If it matches, if it doesn't, we'll just spew out an error. And then at the end, var match list string, come on, equals match list. Wow. Every time I'm missing a shift L.
Is
join.
Is an array a thing you can pass? Do you have to?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I want an input to this step. Where are my inputs to this step? They're going to be over here. They're going to be outputs of the other step. So I need to say my output down here is going to be something
you're putting it into the
list.
Condition. Is that what you're doing?
List is going to be a known type. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the condition, and I want to build a condition that says like sysid in or is one of these. So let's do a string here. Doesn't have to reference a table. And then the bottom of my script, I'm going to do outputs dot list equals match list string. Then that becomes part of my palette for this guy, because step 1 has list, and I can say sysid in this lookup is one of list. That's beautiful. We're going to have to work on the font size thing here. Maximum results 1,000. I think that should be safe. I only have 5 in the table. Save that. How are we going to know this worked?
Now, is that now that's going to return a thing you can iterate over, right?
That's going to return a thing I can iterate over, right?
So now you can do a plus after
because
that.
it's output variables. Yeah, now I could do on this.
Now, do you have to explicitly set the output, or is that implicitly
for each? No, because it's a record out of this. Okay. Oh. I do need to set an output. I need to set the outputs here. The outputs are going to be
the final.
There's the lookup record step.
Is that
right.
what you? Is
so
that
I
what
can
you
actually
want coming out of the action? Is you want all these records, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
I want the 2 that match the condition.
Okay. Yeah. Then that's what you want to do.
So I'm just going to call it count is going to be the value of count. And remember, these are presented to the user, so I want them in nice English case letters. I don't. It's a parameter, not a variable. Let's do records is lookup records, and just because they give it to me, I'm going to use it. Table is lookup table. Might as well use them all. Don't know if I'll ever... Come on, cursor. Hit the save button. Let's do that. I now know who was at the front door. It was the man with the trimmer blower thing. Okay, now my for each... Or excuse me, my L... I got to reload this.
All right. Let me come back over. I haven't looked at the chat in a long time. I got so hung up.
Okay.
I got so entranced in what was going on.
Is going to have my list of lookup records. For each item in lookup records, that's really it. I am going to, what are we going to do? We're going to eventually get to our rest thing, which we might be able to write in 10 minutes based on the success we've had here today. We could just log it. So let's go log. Info message will be my lookup record. No, was that out of the for each?
That is.
Yeah, it was out of the for each. Okay, out of the for each. I'll just put the name. So CHH item, and just put the name. Why can't I data pill picker this darn thing? For each, it's grayed out. That's insane. Done. Save. Try it again. For each lookup, for each item in lookup records, log, data pill picker, for each. Now it's not grayed out. That was bizarre. Okay. Save. We saved our action. Test. We test our action. We should get run test. Thinky, thinky, thinky. Right. That was encouraging. Look at the logs. Refresh. Kitchen single UI name. No match. That came from the action. Item, kitchen, single, Chuck Norris.
Okay.
Cool. Look, Flow Designer is the source. That's neat.
I actually didn't know it did that.
All right. I didn't either. Just noticed that. So we're getting this part right. Now we want the rest part. Oh man. We need to build a new action. Let's call this Integration Hub REST test. Making it up as I go, kids. And we want to take we've got the lookup record. We just need the data. We need to dot walk through that reference field. So what are we asking this nice user to do? Nothing. It's a step. Oh, wait. If we pick it...
You've got to pass the record in, right? Or either the record or the aspect you want of it.
Pass the... Yeah, no, we'll pass the record in. You're right. You're right. So it will be... and then we can use the data pill picker to throw it in there, right? This would be our lookup record. We'll just call it record because we know it's going to be on the lookup table. It's getting easier. I'll give you that. On that table, save that. Add a rest. This is, by the way, you need Integration Hub to do this.
Let's take 1 second. I just want to call this out kind of in a public way. Actually, before you do that, can you just click a plus again, like under your rest step, so that you get the list?
Oh, under the rest step?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Not under, in the left side. To add a new step, and scroll down and look at the verbiage of what it says in the script step.
Yeah, script and rest are going to be the same thing.
Right, but it says requires a subscription for integration. Now, what that really means is almost exactly the opposite of what it seems like it means. What does it seem like it means? Does it seem like you need an integration subscription to run a script? What it's saying is if your script does integration, you need a subscription.
Oh, okay.
So if you're doing a non-integration script, you don't need a subscription.
How does it know what your script is doing?
Whether or not it uses REST message.
Okay. Okay.
So that's one of those
things. So my
things,
script could do anything you want except REST message or SOAP calls.
If you pulled your script include that had it was only on your instance and pulled that in, does not trigger that subscription requirement.
Okay.
I just wanted to call that out on a public forum because it really does seem backwards of what that verbiage is saying. So
it does.
Okay.
Thanks.
That was a tangent, but
no, that's all right. Now, here's where things get a little confusing for me. I tried tackling this once before and was immensely lost. I can use a connection alias or I can define the connection in line. Now, connection alias means I'm going to have credentials and the endpoints and everything all defined in the connections and credentials over here. Okay. I don't feel like doing that. Just not for this exercise. That was too slow. Let's try it inline and see what we get.
If you're calling a public authenticated API, I think this is fine. When it if you're doing like an OAuth thing, I think that was my problem on my original Google like YouTube integrations is that I was doing it inline. But I think for this it will be just fine.
Here's the rub. We need to construct our URL.
Well, that's fine.
Both.
I think it's
that should be easy enough, right? We could do that in a script. And I missed.
Do you even?
We can do that in a script, and we can use the.
I'm not 100% sure you even have to do a script. Can you just drop it in like the same way you do the log message?
Maybe.
Let's take 1 second.
Maybe that's a good idea. Let's try it that way.
Try that because I think you can just do
simpler is better. Yeah. I hadn't thought of that. So let's do data pill picker. The only thing we can choose from is the inputs record.
Right. But you can type, if that's the parameter, just start typing the base URL. So is that not a free text? You can start typing HTTP in that base URL, right? That field.
Yeah, but the data it's going to give me one of these records, and I need to dot walk my way through.
You're gonna actually have to do a script because we don't have it's not like the field that you need is not the parameter. Yeah.
Right. Well, it wasn't even showing me the lookup record fields. That's what's weird. I don't have the left arrow on here. That's kind of crazy. So my input is going to be one of the records, and the input here, the script, will then take as an input lookup gr. Sound good to you?
Sounds fine with me.
And I'm going to get that from inputs record. Then be able, based on our wonderful knowledge we spent a half hour acquiring, var make it pretty first. Inputs dot lookup gr var URL equals lookup gr dot target. I can't remember what I called it. No, it was, yeah, target dot host and target dot resource path. Okay, target dot host plus lookup
You
gr.
might, you might actually want to do. You might want to pass them individually, because in your REST step you have that. You have the base URL and then you have the resource path, right?
Right.
So I think your host and your path, I think you may just want to just pass them without transformation.
I could pass all three.
Sure, you absolutely can.
Outputs dot URL.
And
URL.
I have no problem, like, in the development of this, passing more things and like sculpting them back later on when you realize the ones you don't need, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Outputs.host is copy and paste. Programmer's best and worst friend. Outputs. Why is that so hard to type? Resource path equals resource path. And then we need to pass those back to variable is URL, going to be a string. Variable is host, it's going to be a string. Variable is resource path, it's going to be a string. And then our final outputs back to the resty step. No, the rest already did what we wanted to do.
Right, that was the script step. So now those are now inputs.
This action doesn't need it. Well, the action should have outputs of the response.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, you're passing those from the script to the rest step.
So theoretically, we can go script step 1 URL. Theoretically. Oh, wait, base URL and resource path. Crap. Good thing we did that way.
I believe that's what I just said.
I thought it was one URL. I thought it was an endpoint. You saw it, not me. So it's going to construct it for us. Interesting. And if it were a little more complex, we could put in query parameters, headers, et cetera, but we won't. Now what? Where do we get our response?
So then all of your all of these things you're calling kind of unqualified, right? You're not passing. There's no you're always calling it the same URL with no parameter, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
there's no $sign name or anything we're putting in there. Keeping it starting simple. We're crawling before we can walk.
All right. And then
where's the response come from?
Then I think.
Can we data pill pick that thing? Oh, we can. Response body. You know what? Let's also pass the error code back, just in case it blows up in our face. You want the error code or you want the status code? Let's do an error code or an error message.
Yeah, let's do error message just in case. You could do code. Okay. I'm good with code too. I like to.
Hey, why not? Let's pass them all. We're just going to throw them into a log statement anyway.
It would actually be. Here's where it might. So in this particular case, because these are simple APIs, it might be overkill. But you want to know the difference between a 200, a 500, a 403.
Right.
I mean, that is meaningful if you're debugging this thing.
So let's save that. Now we should have to add to our flow, which is the middle tab. We should add to our flow a plus action LCHH rest test. The record is going to be the record we get out of the record lookup.
Two.
The for each.
Yes.
All right. And that's grayed out. What's going on? Why can't we pick the record now? Is this going to be the way it is? You got to do a done and a save and then come back?
I think maybe because I think
It's draft.
I think because when like the flow that you had in there didn't have all that stuff. Like that stuff was not finalized.
Okay.
Before you did that.
I just came up with a bad joke. It's in draft. The beer.
Take a drink.
We are at the bottom of the hour.
All right, tell you what. Let's fire this off. Let's see if we get
do a test. It's either going to fail miserably or succeed terrifically.
Well, yeah, if it's either of those, then we stop. If it's barely not working, then maybe we go 5 more minutes.
Barely not working. It's mostly dead.
If it looks like something that would respond to a couple minutes, then
that came back pretty quick. Invalid URI. Really? Invalid query.
I think that might have to be URL encoded.
It worked straight on the. It works straight up. If you go like this,
straight in the browser.
I mean, that's what I got. What?
Yeah, it works straight in the browser. But I think that might be some URL encoding that the browser does for you. Can you do one of the pick a different one that has
do one of the others?
Yeah, pick one that has a different URL.
Okay. One of the simpler ones that just says like /API. Where's my flow?
We may actually what we may want to do. Well, what we may want to do when we construct the URL is URL encode everything past the host. Well, yeah, it's crappy because you don't want to URL encode. You want to be sure and definitely not to URL encode the.
That was. Oh, hey, this one worked. You might be right. It might have something to do with the craziness in the URL.
Those brackets. I think if you just changed those to the URL encoded form of that bracket, that would work.
If anybody's brave, I can take off that explicit part. There are some really raunchy Chuck Norris jokes on that database.
All right, so
it worked. Let's see.
Look at the output there.
System log should have our response body and error code and whatnot. Theoretically. Flow completed, no match. Match. Error flow designer. Oh, that was the first one we tried. I don't see. Oh, we didn't log anything, did we? Did we? We didn't. We ran the rest. Silly us. We didn't do. Did we do anything? Did we do anything? We didn't log anything.
They're outputs that don't do anything. So it's,
yeah, that's nice.
All right.
Kids, always do your homework. We want core log. You're right. It was mostly done. Winner.
All right. So you want
rest test. Oh, wait. They're grayed out again. Dave, I'm not happy with this usage here.
And this actually, refutes my hypothesis because we didn't touch that since then.
Log, rest. Hey, come on.
So maybe we've got something wrong in that action. Are we failing to? There's something in the action itself that we haven't done.
How many of these do I have? Trash. Delete. Maybe I was. Save. Add. Action. Or log. Data pill. Rest test. No picky.
I'd say let's stop right there. Let's leave it on cliffhanger. We'll stop right there. How about that?
Yeah, it's not letting me pick any activities from anything else.
Okay.
There. Cliffhanger.
Okay. That's what we'll so I'm actually fine with just picking it up at exactly this point next week.
Okay.
That will be the
Are you going to be around next week? I thought there was no next week.
No, this was the week. I think
this was the week. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
All right.
So I think
we got a lot done. We learned a lot.
Yeah, no, this is I mean, honestly, the errors are exactly the right kind of errors, I think. So, they're the kind of things that are illustrative of meaningful things that we want to fix in this. So, let me see if I can
we try.
Get
Craig's heckling us.
Yes, he is. Let me tell you, friends, the fact that there is any happy hour at all is a testament to the fact that I just happen to have an OBS on my laptop almost ready to go, because Skype. Skype, Skype, Skype. Here's a
that
tech
sounds
tip.
like my mantra. WebEx, 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 WebEx.
I started working with Skype an hour before showtime. That was not enough time because it's updating and will not fix itself.
So if you start working on, say, Tuesday, we might have it.
Yikes! Yeah. Okay, but anyway, that was good. So a couple things. One, it is super good to be back because certainly it was not my choice to not be doing this. I've been traveling most of the Fridays the last month. So, what is your rating on your beer?
I really, really like this. This is a good. We're transitioning into warmer season here in Phoenix, and this is a nice light golden ale that I'm going to give it a 4.25.
I'm actually really enjoying the O'Shea's Irish Stout. As I noted on St. Patrick's Day, which we didn't have. We'll consider this the St. Patrick's Day show. I have actually. I don't think I have any documentation of any Irish blood at all in my. A bunch of Scots, no Irish, as far as I know. But digging this, so I'm going to give this a 4. I like it.
Today you're known as Dave Slusher.
Yeah, be more like Dave McSlusher. So we'll. The provisional tentative plan is next week. We'll pick up at exactly this point, and the next week we'll figure out. The thing we'll take as homework is to figure out why does that gray out. It does not seem like it's counterintuitive. Yeah. It does not seem like it should gray out. And we did have an action item to return to, which is what's the thing you learned at the Phoenix meetup?
Oh, the thing I learned at the Phoenix meetup. Thank you. This is something that Diana Lewis, who is a former ServiceNow employee, came to me and said, when you go into system, I don't know if there's any mail on here, system mailboxes, either outbox or sent. You know how you drill into the record and you go down to the UI action that says preview HTML body? Mm-hmm. There is a right click action. I know I can do this on my, on Div 20. There is, it's also a combination. It's both a form UI action and a list UI action.
Oh, you can do that.
So you don't have to go into the record. You can do that from the list. So if I say sent, because I do have mail turned on here, send mail. When's the last time I typed send mail? Good gravy. Okay, not created on today, but I can take any one of these. Say this one to Fred Letty. Look, kids, preview HTML body right there. You don't have to go into the record to turn it on. It will show you in a modal. There it is in all its glory.
All right. We may actually just
time saver.
Yeah, next week we might just pop that up for a second when you first start screen sharing because that was my mistake. I should have.
Oh, it wasn't on the screen share.
Yeah, this whole time we've been looking at your camera because you're not screen sharing right now. But we'll do that.
So
next
the
week.
look, kids was sort of futile.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. So. But we get to see the look of joy on your face as you were doing it. So that's good enough. All right. Thank you, everybody, for the triumphant return of Live Coding Happy Hour. And we should see you next week. There's never a warranty on that, but that's the expectation. So thank you, Chuck.
Do our best. Yep. Thanks, Dave.
All right. And thank you, everybody. We will see you next time. Bye.